Hello, well it's a lovely sunny day in the woods and I'm going to be making some clothes pegs. I believe in the States you call them clothes pins. Anyway, I'm going to be using some willow. There's hazel's good as well, but I'll be using willow today as there's no shortage of willow here. And I'm going to make the traditional, often called gypsy style pegs. So rather nice. I'll show you some that I've been making. And it's fairly easy, fairly straightforward. Just need a scrap can, a little nail, a knife and a bit of willow and you're in business. And of course I can remember as a child these pegs being made and being hawked around and sold at the door. In fact, to me when I grew up, this is what a peg looked like. It was a wooden peg like the ones I'm going to make. So plastic ones fairly new. Going back actually in history, it's quite interesting looking because people used to, in the countryside, dry their washing largely over hedges. So you didn't really need pegs. And even in old Roman times, washing was often draped over lines but not actually pegged. So the development of the clothes peg came more as you had industrialization, because you had people living in cities and suddenly needing to have lines. So of course, if you're a gypsy, it was quite profitable to go out into the towns with your pegs and try and sell them door to door. And if you didn't sell them all, you could then find a shop and they'd give you a pittance for them. But no, it's quite a good source of income. Wasn't necessarily done all year round, because often there's other agricultural work to do. But at certain times of year, peg making was well worth it. So anyway, I will show you how I make pegs next. Well, I think I've got a suitable piece here. It's thick enough, fairly straight. So I'm going to just give it a cut. Yeah, the materials is a bit of tin cans. So we've got a beer can here and some willow. And the first thing I'm going to do is shave the bark off the willow. And all of this can be done with a standard knife. So it's quite easy. Just taking the bark off, using the knife away from me, obviously for safety reasons. The willow actually loses its bark very quickly, which is good stuff. So that's it stripped off. I'm going to now just round over the top of one of the pegs to make them comfortable. So I'm just doing a quick round over. And then the next job I'm going to do now is wrap the tin around the peg. So if you're using beer can, you can just use ordinary scissors. And I have a strip of can here, which I think would just about be long enough. So that's my strip of tin. I'm going to now just round off the edges of the tin. So we're being a bit careful here because the landowner has some dogs. So we're making sure all our tin snippings go in a rubbish pot. So I've just rounded the edge of that. I'm now going to, with my knife, make a little slot in the top, about an inch down, and this is going to be for the tin. So that's the slot. In we go. Right, that's now in. And what I'm doing now, I'm folding the tin around nice and tightly. The tin will stop the split in the peg riding up too far. So put it around about 1.5 times. And again, going to trim it off.
Similar to this, but the proportions would be much higher. And it's got another one of these.
And just cut the ends off to make them nice and smooth.
This block's about 3 inches too high, so we need to take
So it's going to trim like that. And like that.
I want a high bit, but
There we are. So that's the tin wrapped around.
You can have it straight or
The next step now is to punch a hole in the tin for a nail. So I'm using a masonry nail here, which I've put a sharp point on,
and then
and I'm using that as a little punch. So that's my masonry nail. Just ground the tip round and make it sharp and pointy. You then need a nail. You can use any sort of tack. I've got some little copper tacks. So I'm just popping that in and hammering it down. So just give that all a little bash round. And that's the metal strip round. I do the same thing the other end if I want to make 2 pegs at once and then cut them. But what I'll do at the moment, I'll just do the one. So I'll cut it there with my saw. So I'll cut that there. So that's the peg before it's been split. And what you now want to do with your knife is put a split in. Now, if you split in line with the nail, the chance are the split will just carry on up through the whole peg and ruin it. So you actually want to split at 90 degrees. So there's the nail, here's the knife. So I'm just about to put my slit in, as I say, at 90 degrees to the nail. So I'm just using a knife, and one can literally just place it over the end of the peg and then hit it with the mallet. And down it goes. Just take it down as far as the metal. And then I'm just going to do a tiny taper each side, doesn't need much. And then you take the knife and you get as much out. Again, using the knife away from you to open out the actual peg slot. And you have to be quite forceful at this stage. So I'm doing it really quite hard and quite sort of deep. And what that's doing is making it easy to get the peg on the washing line. You can visualize you get your washing line there. It's going to make it a lot easier. And now I'll just round off the end so that it's comfortable if you pick the peg up. And obviously the whole time I'm using this knife working away from me. And there you have it, one gypsy peg to hold your washing up on a line. As you can see, we've been quite busy today, so we have made quite a few of them. So I hope my wife will be pleased when I get home with all of these. So we may use them. It'll probably be me hanging out the washing actually with these. So there you are, that's gypsy peg making. Bye bye, thanks so much. And here's the proof of the pudding that it actually works.